Every now and then you get a lesbian film that transcends, and boy, does this film transcend. There was something so powerful about this film and how it treated the material that it quite literally had me sobbing at the end, and not because the ending was sad, no, but because it was triumphant, and at the heart of that story is a unique, rarely seen on screen story about queer female friendship between mature women that made this feat possible. What am I even talking about? Nyad, the movie, is about Diana Nyad, a long-distance swimmer who at the age of 28 in 1978 attempted to swim across the Florida Strait from Cuba to Florida Keys. With the world watching, hemmed inside a shark cage, she tried but failed to make it across, getting pulled out after 42 grueling hours due to weather conditions that were slamming her against the cage.
Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?
Plagued by memories of her failure and this deep conviction that she could do this, Diana, at the age of 60, decides that she, after quitting swimming shortly after her failed attempt, was going to try again, which is where the movie begins.
Listen, Bonnie, I just know I can do it, okay? And I want to do it with you. I gotta do it with you. I couldn't do it without you.
With the help of her longtime best friend Bonnie as her coach, she begins her training with single-minded determination, building up her training sessions to 8 hours in the swimming pool and then overnight tests in the ocean.
Just go classic, me on a billboard with your iconic slogan, "Ribbon beneath me." Strong enough for a man, but made for a woman. I think I just scored us a sponsor.
Yeah!
Chasing sponsors so she can afford to do it, she builds a team behind her to give her the best chance. And most radically, she decided to do this without a shark cage, unlike Susie Maroney, an Australian swimmer who made the crossing in 1997, and instead used kayakers with an electric deterrent system. Also, unlike Walter Ponish, the only other person to make the crossing back in 1978, she would do it with no flippers or having rest periods on the boat. She was in for 50 plus hours of non-stop swimming in salt water. Even with the sponsors and an army of people behind her, her first attempt fails, and she keeps trying as the strain on her body, her friendship, and her crew mounts, but her vision is clear and nothing will make her give it up.
Do you have any idea what that was like for me?
I know.
Huh? No, you don't know. I watched you die, Diana. Because I said okay to you again.
Yeah, but I wasn't. I didn't. I'm here. I'm here. I'm okay, and I'm not quitting.
Now, in and of itself, the story is one we have seen before. Always inspiring, of course, where someone who has the vision and conviction that they could achieve something superhuman does, and we've seen countless movies made of these events, but there are a number of things that made this movie stand out, both as a film about this topic and also as a sapphic film. I really liked the way the film was constructed. It used a mixture of flashbacks to when she was a young girl and then actual footage of the real Diana as a young athlete to seamlessly integrate that into the storytelling, using interview audio as voiceover to color in the details and in a way make it more experiential. And while that might sound jarring to cut between real life footage and the movie, it really isn't. Instead, it elevated the storytelling. The script kept me engaged as the story developed, and of course, there was the A-list casting. Annette Bening, she was sensational. Jodie Foster as Bonnie was fabulous, and I'm so glad we finally get to see her play an out queer character. She and Annette play beautifully off each other, as such excellent actors would. I had just watched A Holiday I Do, a lesbian Christmas film that I had reviewed over on my Patreon right before this film, and oh boy, you can't compare. It's not just the script or the acting, but every element of this film was so beautifully crafted. The soundtrack was absolutely killer and very core to the journey Diana was on, and the use of special effects elevated the storytelling. All the elements that go into making a film seem to come together in just such a way to make it feel, to me, like more than a sport biopic. And though there are some elements of the movie that are not necessarily accurate to what really happened, in the end, those details are not important to the triumphant story that they are telling. The core of the movie revolves around the deep friendship between these women and how Diana couldn't have done it without Bonnie. As much as it is Diana's accomplishment doing the swimming, it really was the two of them together, and I love that. It's just not often we get to see older women on our screens, and it's not often we get to see queer friendship like this. There is certainly a tendency with sapphics to myopically focus on love stories in our film and TV content because that is a very direct expression of our orientation, of our longing, and our visibility. We love to see sapphic ladies falling in love. We especially love seeing queer ladies kissing, which is why pretty much every thumbnail on YouTube to do with lesbian film and TV has two ladies kissing, because that's what you'll click on. But Diana and Bonnie's friendship offers up another perspective to the queer experience. Diana is part of a group of powerful, glass-ceiling busting queer women who have stood on the public stage to pave the way for other women. This is getting a little philosophical perhaps, but I think this movie lends itself to this observation that queer women of the mostly boomer generation and earlier haven't just loved other women, they've also embodied a kind of womanhood that breaks down barriers, like a first wave of warriors clearing the path for the following generations. So I'm talking like women like Florence Nightingale, who revolutionized the nursing medical field, Emily Dickinson, who revolutionized poetry, Hattie McDaniel, who forged a path forward for representation of black characters in film. We've got sapphics in space, sapphics in art, sapphics in politics. And I don't know, I think there is an energy about them, about women who fall outside of the mainstream society because of their sexuality, who seem to naturally gravitate towards doing unorthodox things and helping others to see there is a different way of being, for which I'm so grateful. My life is so much easier as a result of all these amazing queer women who have challenged the concept of what is possible as a woman. The movie is able to not just mark the events, but also get an insider's look into Diana's perspective. What did it mentally take for her to decide at 60 that she would do this? What was her frame of mind? How did she find the mental fortitude to swim for over 2 days with all the perils of the open ocean? The Diana that emerges from the script pages is one who bucks mainstream expectation, who in the face of aging decides that she is not going to fade into the background the way society expects her to. She's also someone who has a myopic, self-centered streak about her, something that she is well aware of.
You know, it's not that I don't know that I'm this way, that I'm so...
Radical?
That's a nice way to say it.
But it is also this very trait that gives her the ability to achieve what she does, which I thought was cool that was shown instead of, making her a less real, but a nice and more idealistic version of who she actually is. And look, perhaps this is the nicer, more idealistic version of who she really is. I don't know. But the truth is, when you break down barriers, you have to have some fire in you. You have to be difficult sometimes. It also gave us access into some of the deeper parts of Diana and what made her tick this way. As we're drawn deeper into her past, we see the complex web of what brought her to the place where she even wanted to attempt such a swim. The influence of her father, the US-Cuba conflict, and ultimately the need to exorcise the demons that chased her as a result of trauma. And so within that specificity, it becomes a universal story of facing and releasing trauma. The movie is not just about someone who persevered until she successfully swam the Florida Strait. It was about the mastery of the self, of pushing through to release fear, of breaking through the physical 3D nature of our existence into something beyond that. It was, in short, a transcendental film. And look, I don't know if you see it the way I do, but I think it's for that reason that by the end I was sobbing, because there was something so triumphant and uplifting about this story that overstepped the limits of what we think is humanly possible, and in doing so suggests we are more than our bodies. We are marvelous, beautiful souls, all of us, on this crazy wild ride that is Earth. And thanks to women like Diana and Bonnie and other amazing queer ladies, our lives are made just that bit easier for us to be ourselves. Whew, well, that went a little deep. I want to thank my wonderful membership and Patreon supporters. I appreciate you all so much, especially my top tier supporters, Morgana Amore and Jeff Marshall. I have a whole playlist of movie reviews that is up on your screen right now, so click on that, and until next time, lady lovers.